Let's get into our discussion and see what is or what should be the expectations for the energy sector. And we're being joined on the News at 10 by Mr. Olawode Ashomi, who is, of course, an analyst and a public affairs analyst, that is, and an energy expert. Great to have you on the News at 10.
Good evening.
All right. So let's start by looking at the energy sector, of course, briefly now in the year 2023. How would you assess that?
So if we're going to say the energy sector or the industry, let's break it into three areas: the renewable sector, electricity, which is power, and then oil and gas. Oil and gas particularly was active, even though a lot of actions did not take place until after the elections. But there was the licenses for gas fly, which were given out, which is a major milestone, or should I say the crescendo of a major milestone. But two particular things happened in the year, which to my mind did not get particular attention. One was that we signed an agreement with Germany to start to export gas for them, which is a big issue given the crisis they have there. And we're starting to export gas to South Africa, which is the first time South Africa will be importing gas outside of the US. I mean, significant things. Now, when you look at power, the new minister came in, and one of the first things he said was that he was going to help eliminate the collection losses by ensuring that meters are available. I don't know how far they've gone within that, but if they're able to do that within the first few months, those will be significant milestones. When you also look at renewable sector, a lot of activities have gone on, but one of the things that did happen during COP was that the European Union dedicated a little over $200 million, I believe, 200 million euros for Africa, with Nigeria taking about 3/4 of that in terms of their spending. So a lot of things can be analyzed, but I think overall, if we're able to aggregate all the positives, it's not been a bad year.
All right, so let's talk about the oil and gas sector, and one particular one that concerns me. It has to do with the issue of oil theft. Of course, we know the myriads of problems that is associated with that one. But what do you think the government should be doing, of course, to curb this in 2024?
So to put it in perspective, there are three things globally that no government has been able to totally eliminate. One is illegal diamonds. The other is illegal drugs. The other is illegal oil theft. Now, oil theft in Nigeria has been integrated because there are a lot of people who should be more responsible who are cooperating it. In fact, it was one of the MDs of the IOCs that said oil theft in Nigeria is like organized crime. So if we are going to eliminate oil theft, we are going to approach it the way the US approached organized crime. I think I don't need to say more than that, because there are so many people who ordinarily should be solving the problem who are part of the problem.
Sure, let's talk about renewable energy, of course. What type of investment do you think the government can be bringing into that sector?
I think Nigeria has identified gas as our energy for energy transition. So for me, rather than trying to use very fancy, which is what renewable energy is in any way, to fancy methods and excessively investing there, we need to create a strategy where we use gas to meet our needs. Yes, there will be micro and pico energy needs which can be solved at the villages and those areas that are the last mile, which are difficult to reach. But in terms of government effort, strategy, and we need to work with gas. There's no other way out to that.
So what about reducing the cost of oil production? What can be done in that regard by this present administration?
Now, oil is a global commodity, and reducing its production is not something that is dependent only on Nigeria, because there are a lot of the factors of this production that are dollar denominated. So basically, what we can do at the best is to find out what aspects of this production can be domiciled. In terms of, so we are not going to be talking about proper production, we're not going to be talking about science, we're not going to be talking about educational level. So it's a whole value chain that we're going to it. But in terms of the magical production reduction that we expect and that we talk about, is not likely at the moment. So one of the responsibilities that we have as Nigerians is to actually educate ourselves into the reality and into the needs of the society. I mean, you ask people that, what will it take for the power sector to work? They'll say they don't care, they just want power. That may sound interesting, but it's also ignorant, because if you don't know the causative factors, you won't be able to put pressure, the appropriate critical mass of pressure on the right places, so that the things can work. There are many people who are sabotaging, but they are doing it in darkness because there's no attention on them.
We'll leave it at that. Mr. Olawode Ashomi, energy analyst, thank you so much for your time and thoughts on the News at 10.
Pleasure is all mine.